there have been recent cases whereby both women and men want to be promoted from one level to another in the office, but you get to hear that it's either you do something, you give a sexual favor to your boss, or you're not going to get that job. And when you either refuse to do that, most people have said that they end up losing their jobs. So Lindsay, let me start with you before we get to Jane to give us the human resource view on it. Have you had opportunities whereby you feel that you cannot get a job that you feel you're capable to do? You've gone to school, you have the idea, you have the ways of navigating through the workplace, but someone has had to make sure that apart from your intelligence and your knowledge, there are other things that you have to give to acquire a job.
Yes, it happens, and it's very unfair where you miss an opportunity and yet you have all the qualifications they've asked for. You know that these interviews you do, and you go home knowing that, you know, let me start arranging my things. But only because this person called you again and asked you for lunch and you did not go, then you miss the chance. So it happens. But for me, my learning point has always been your body. Because some of the ladies give in because of low self-esteem. You question yourself, you ask yourself, so it's just my body, nothing more, and then I'll get a promotion, and then this will be money, and then I will have a good life. But look at it as, it's not just your body, it's your integrity that is going away. So I can tell you this, even the bosses who have actually done that before, they actually called me back again for a job because they knew that this lady is skilled and we need her to be part of the company, in as much as she did not accept to give in. And they even looked at it at he looked at it at another perspective, like this lady is actually very assertive and we need such bold characters in the company. So saying no to this also can actually give you a plus.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Jane, to you as a human resource manager, these people would get to do interviews. We know the HR is in charge of hiring and firing. What message would you give to other human resource managers out there who don't listen when such cases are brought to them, who don't take actions and who don't follow? Because we have a lot of cases whereby people say, I reported, but nothing was done. Because most people say the HR is not loyal to you as an employee. The HR department is loyal to the employer. So can you kindly give us some pointers on that?
Okay, it's very unfortunate when the HR is not balancing that, because the HR should be an employee's advocate and at the same time an employer's advocate. You should be able to have that balance. So when there's not that balance, it's really unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate, because ideally, even for the case of recruitment, when you have a HR that is qualified for the position, they should put in systems to make sure that the decision on who to hire does not depend on one person. And therefore, you don't have a reason why you should have this person telling the other person, if you don't do ABCD, we are not going to give you the job. Unless even if it's the MD, if they assist him, they should not be the only person that is making that decision who comes on board. There must be a system, there must be a panel that sits and decides that we feel this person should come on board. In terms of not resolving sexual harassment issues, it's really bad, because it comes back to the organization. And as the HR, your reputation is tainted also. As much as maybe it wasn't your decision not to do ABCD, and maybe there was not enough evidence, and sometimes maybe to just talk to the people that have been harassed, it helps to keep evidence. If this person is texting you messages, if maybe they're sending you emails or sending you very funny videos, save them. You can save them elsewhere, such that you don't have to keep reminding you of this, even if you're handling it on your own way. But every case needs evidence, because sometimes they'll come report to HR, you go do investigations and there's nothing tangible. It becomes your word against her word. And in that case, even the HR is tied now, because you also can't terminate someone without a reason.
Most cases of harassment, recently Equity Bank fired a top manager who was allegedly he was harassing interns. So you get that the people at the receiving end are interns who have no power. They are here to learn. They are looking up on these people, and they don't want to go and report it and miss this opportunity in this good organization to acquire the skills that they can acquire. So how do we talk to these interns? How do we mentor them? How do we create awareness to them and give them the power to feel that whatever advances that are made to me, if they are not positive, I have the power to say no?
I think it brings about the topic of being assertive, you know, just being able to say no without offending anyone. Because if you become passive and people do whatever they feel like to you, at the end of the day, you still have to live that. And when that happens, most people who give into that, especially interns, they don't last. Because after that, this manager is scared that you might one day just let the cat out. Yeah. So actually they're looking for any reason to just, they'll be at ease when you leave. Yeah.
Okay.
And probably it's something that they do. New interns come and they keep doing this with interns. So my advice would be, say no, use your wisdom, even if you don't have to report, use your wisdom and know how to navigate it, but don't give in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lindsay, probably a lesson that you learned from your experience, I'm sure there's someone somewhere, probably they left the office today at 5 and they had to go through some moments, and maybe they have to go through it every morning when they report to work, and people get to quit their jobs because of all this. From your experience, what would you say to a girl out there, to a guy out there who has had to go through harassment and have not had the power to speak for themselves?
First of all, I'll tell someone to really have this self respect, because that's one thing we lack. Sometimes when you're an intern, you belittle yourself, or if you're lower, you belittle yourself, and you feel that, you know, there's this thing about networking, but people are getting it all wrong. So you really want to throw yourself to a boss because you feel, if I know the head of this place, I will be at an upper position. But remember, sometimes the way you carry yourself, you know, if you slip your way, I've seen people, like a friend of mine actually gave in. Like I told you, I used to hide myself from the manager, but my other friend gave in and said, I mean, it's just the body, and it's nothing much. But this friend of mine actually did not last, because one thing for sure, if you slip yourself up,
you don't last,
because only skills can put you there. So when you're there, please make sure you gain as much experience as you can. Be the best at what you do. Even your manager will be ashamed to ask you for some things, because every manager wants to shine and wants the company to shine, and they will keep you if they know that you have good work. But once you start seeing them suggesting these sexual things, just start doubting yourself, because it means there's something wrong with you as well. Maybe you're really like everywhere, and you're not really working smart. Because if you work smart, trust me, they'll even be scared to ask you such things.
Okay, that's very powerful. So Jane, when does an harassment issue now come from being get out from being handled by the people at the office to the courtroom? At what point? Okay,
when I'm seeing that happen, when it's criminal, like if someone has actually bullied you and maybe they have even raped you in the office or whatever else, then that becomes criminal. If someone has kissed you forcibly and maybe you feel like you have to report this and you have evidence, that's assault.
Okay.
Yeah, again, you can go to court. If you have reported to the HR or to whoever that you have to report internally and you haven't handled the case again, and you feel like we had with the NBK case, then again people go to court.
Okay.
So if you feel like now this is bordering on a crime, like this is now, you know, even if it's handled internally, even if this person loses their job, I feel I've been offended and I need to claim this legally. Okay. Then you go and pursue it in the forever.
Do you feel that people really know when they're being harassed?
Most people don't know. Like she has said, very many people have been harassed. Actually, maybe most women have been harassed, and doesn't just come from the bosses, even from peers, and especially for young women entering the workforce. It's real. From being sent pornographic things on your email, and you can't say anything, you just have to laugh back, even if you don't have to say anything. And the moment you send that kameme laughing, people think you're encouraging. More they send you more dirty things, you know, and they'll keep making all these funny jokes that you think they're just being casual, it's just a joke.
Okay.
And when you complain that it's just a joke, but it's harassment. So people don't know, and they don't know when it's getting, you know, offhand. So it will move from being verbal. They'll think now they have gotten comfortable with you. And one day they might get actual interactions. They'll start now touching you or behaving in a way that you feel now this is a little bit too much.
Okay. So now, what strategies, what procedures do we put out there to make sure that sexual harassment is not something that someone has to go through, that people will have to go to school and get their degrees, get their diplomas, get their masters, and be able to give their papers and be given jobs based on their capabilities, and not because someone feels like they can get more out of these people, as you wind up from every person?
For me, I think that situation, people still get jobs without that. Majority of the people get jobs without sexual favors. Yeah, most of the people in the world. But again, we'll have those that get maybe through that. So it's an issue of morals and values and integrity and esteem. Yeah, I don't think you have to die to get that particular job. Yeah, and you don't know, as you said, if this person does that, they will keep fearing that you may let it out.
Yeah, so they let go of you.
Yeah, so if they have a chance to let it go, then they will. If someone else comes and they're not interested in you anymore, and they move on to someone else, what happens to you? Yeah. So in my opinion, it's about us as individuals. Not this you can't delegate to anyone. It's about us as individuals saying, you know what, there's a minimum of what I can do and a minimum of what I can do. Her friend chose to go into it. She chose to say no. We all can choose whichever part that you want. So if you want to say yes, it's up to you. If you want to say no, it's up to you. But even if you said no, you don't have to work for that particular company. If you report and it is not sorted and maybe you have to resign or maybe you're fired, you didn't go to school to them. You can work elsewhere. And all the other people that are outside here are not working for that particular company. Yeah, you just need to have that strong conviction that you don't have to go through search for you to get that job.
Lindsay, your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is first, you need to be very assertive, love your body, speak up. So make sure that at least because one of the things why I did not speak up, it's because I was afraid. Because every time we had a meeting, it was about, I want us to get to this target, I want us to reach this target, this is what I want us to do, we're not doing this. And I felt like introducing a new story, I mean, these are stories that are not talked about. So I'd also urge people, let's talk about these things, because they're not taboo, these things are happening. You know, let's talk about them. Let's follow up even on interns. Let's follow up, let's see how they're catching up, whether they have whether people are asking for favors so that they can be able to learn. You know, I think it's very important, because some of these things have become so normal that we can't even know that it's sexual harassment.
It's true.
You know, someone will tell you, hey, you look really nice, hey, that color of yours, but you wouldn't know. But this person keeps on saying, but this person is just making it softer for you, so that at least they can be able to do more. So let's talk about these things. Let's speak up. Let's support each other. And even the bosses, I'm sure they'll be scared, because these are things that are talked about and people are ashamed of any manager who's doing that too.
Thank you very much, ladies, for really finding time to speak about sexual harassment at the workplace. What I would say is that, just as what they have said, let's talk about this thing, because, and I feel if someone approaches you and they want favors from you, if someone tries to touch you in certain ways and make comments, you have the power to say no, because by saying no to that person, then you're going to be saving another girl or another guy that person is going to be aiming at. So that is all we have for you tonight on Y254 News. Thank you very much for being with us. My name is Patricia Muriuki. Have yourselves a very good night.